Welcome to the Dear Professor series, where college students who take courses online speak their minds. I am your host and e-learning strategist, Dr. Kellie Alston, who is honored to have a conversation with today's guest as she sheds light on her experiences as an online student. I've been teaching online since 2004 and made the tough decision to obtain my PhD through an online program. So I have been both an online instructor and an online student. As a result, I know that some wonderful things are happening with online programs, as well as some not so wonderful things going on. The purpose of this series is to help professors and students experience a more fulfilling online learning environment by allowing students to reveal their needs and pet peeves. I hope that this information will support professors in making the necessary changes or adjustments in the design and delivery of their online courses, which should ultimately enhance student success and satisfaction with distance education. So if you're interested in hearing what students have to say about their lived experiences online, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that every Wednesday at 8 p.m., the latest episode will come straight to you. Also, feel free to comment about anything said and ask questions. If you are listening via a podcast platform, please be sure to follow and rate the series so that your interest and opinion of the show are made known. Today, I am honored to be sharing this time and space with Mrs. Christyl Benford. Christyl.
Dr. Alston.
Yes. Listen, when I was growing up, there was something people in the South used to say, and that was, what you know good. So today, instead of asking you, how are you doing, as I always do, I want to know, what you know good, Christyl?
Well, look, like they used to say in the church, giving honor to God. Okay, we're not going to go there. I'm trying to tell you, God is good. There's been a lot of transition, I think, in everybody's lives, including my own, and so I'm starting to see things turn around for the good of me and my family, as well as for my friends and loved ones. So that is something good, honey. That is something amazing. So I have a confident expectation of what's to come, and I'm so excited about this interview and what's going to come after it.
Yay. So Christyl, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Hey, everybody, all you listeners. I'm Christyl Benford. As Dr. Alston mentioned, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, entrepreneur, and the author of a book called Avoiding the Self-Sabotage Trap. Now, I have a couple of different businesses, but I'll kind of give you a little bit about each. One of my businesses is Zeely Creative, which is a brand studio where we help service-based business owners build unforgettable brands and websites. Love the creative side of that. And my other business is actually kind of a two-part. One part focuses on teaching others how to improve their mindsets through our products and services and trainings. The other part is more of a mentorship that works with aspiring and new entrepreneurs, which helps them to transition into entrepreneurship by shifting that mindset. So if you know anything about working for somebody else, it is a mindset shift to shift from that to running and operating your own business. And then also we help them to implement strategic actions to launch their businesses. So I'm going to end with this. A fun fact about me is that I am a singer and songwriter, actually an award-winning singer and songwriter. I got an award through Gospel Music Association some years ago, but also I am a makeover queen, okay? Whether it's dishes in the kitchen, not dishes, recipes in the kitchen, whether it is a room, whether it is an outfit, honey, I love to make over. So I like taking anything that looks like chaos and transforming it into functionality. So that's a little about me.
Yes, so Christyl, you are just so multifaceted and multi-talented. So let's talk a little bit more about the mindset piece. How did you get into that training and understanding more about how the mindset works?
And it's been some years. I know Dr. Alston doesn't like us talking about her, but it was some years that we were talking about how there were so many things we didn't know that stemmed from our mindsets and our upbringing and stuff that helped shape our mindset that were not working. And so really, we just made a conscious decision to start learning how to shift the mindset from what we knew all of our lives, what we've seen in our family, what we've seen in our communities, shift the mindset to that what we thought was normal, but was not working, shift it into a place where we were actually like, okay, let's make these changes so that we can start seeing different manifestations and different changes in our lives in different areas. So that's where it began, which started years ago. Let's be honest. It started some years ago, but it took daily work. Sometimes when I say daily, I'm talking about 2 times. I'm talking about 2 times it took some work, like 2 times a day is what I'm trying to say. In the morning, we would have to do this, sometimes midday, but definitely morning and evening before bed, changing that mindset, reordering our thoughts. So that's how it started. It started by trying to unravel lies that we thought were truths and they weren't truths. So that's where it all started years ago.
So when you work with prospective entrepreneurs or people that are already entrepreneurs, do you find that they understand how important mindset is or not?
Not.
Okay.
I think I've had very few, and I mean very few, where I could probably count on one hand, new entrepreneurs that I work with, where they are very clear. They're not only clear with the direction they want to take their company, but they're very clear with who they are. And I think the majority of people that I work with, they don't even have a clue about all the work that it entails for them to transition from employee to employer. And so that is a major shift. Like just getting them to understand just that beginning part, that in itself is a major shift before we even get into the big scope of what we're working with them on, if that makes any sense.
Yes. And I'm so glad you shared that because, in this social media world, it seems like everybody's a coach or entrepreneur, and they make it seem so flashy and easy to do. That internal piece of working on that mindset and shifting when we've been programmed to be employees, basically, is probably a challenge for a lot of people that they don't recognize.
It is.
So really quickly, how was it to receive this award from the Gospel Music Association? And how old were you then? If you don't mind.
My gosh. Yeah, I don't mind telling. I was, let me see, goodness, how old was I? I think I was early 30s.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I was early 30s. I don't think I was late 20s. I might have been late 20s, maybe. Like maybe 29, maybe something like that, if I wasn't 30. Okay. Yeah, but I felt like at first I thought I lost. So I was like, okay, moving on, And then when they called my name at the ceremony, I was like, what? And so I was sitting there and they were calling my name, but because I thought I lost, I didn't pay attention. And people were pushing me like, they're calling you. That's you. They're calling you. They're naming, they're calling you and they're, saying your song name. Right. And I was like, what? And the guy on the stage was like, come on up, Christyl Benford, for so no more pain.
You didn't have your little speech already?
I did not. And actually the way their ceremonies are, it's not something where you can go up and give a speech like the Grammys or the Stellars or the Dove Awards. Yeah, it's nothing like that. So you go up, you get it, they celebrate you, everybody takes pictures, and then you're off the stage. Like it's that fast. But I had no clue. Like people were pushing me like, they're saying your song. And the guy was like, Christyl Benford for No More Pain. Yeah, he's looking like, come on up. And I'm like, what? Yeah, so it was so funny. Yeah, absolutely. But I felt so good.
That's incredible. So let's talk about these online courses. What is your general experience with taking courses online?
Well, my general experience is not as vast as most of your guests on your show. I only had like maybe a little less than 2 years, but my experience, I have to say, was amazing. Even though it was scary for me because I had never done any online course, anything online learning. I hadn't done it up to that time, but it was, even though it was scary, it was a great experience.
Okay, so in those less than 2 years, what were you pursuing in that time?
A digital design degree.
Okay.
Digital design, yes.
All right. So if you were to rate that experience that you said was so wonderful on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being outstanding and 1 being horrific, what rating would you give and why?
I would say a 9. Because and the reason why I won't give a 10 because I don't think anything's perfect in this world.
Right. Yeah.
So I would say a 9, and the reason being is because when I went to regular school, I went to the school that I went to when I was younger. But when I went to that school, it was so disorganized. Mm-hmm. Like it was like kind of get in where you fit in type of facility. And so, and it was a well-known school, but it just was very unorganized. It was like the teachers kind of didn't care. There was, most of my professors didn't have any syllabus. It was just kind of like you get it for the week, but you don't get it for the semester. But when I came in, the reason why I would give online learning a 9 is because everything was so organized. Like you came in and here's the syllabus and it was given to you in advance and you saw what you were going to, create, over the course of over the course of that course. And, and then you had the office hours for your instructors, and some instructors even had more than just their office hours. And then you had the tutors, and everything was just so pristine. Like it was just so lined up and just so easy to follow. And it just made it easier. It just made it easier. It made me feel a little more secure and confident in, moving forward with online education. And there was no guesswork in it. And I think that's what I like. I don't like guesswork. So there was no guesswork in it. Everything was just to the point and clear.
Yes, well, that's a remarkable rating. I think that's the first 9 that we have had this season. And I like the fact that you talked about what sounded like to me was customer service. Whether that's from the instructor or from the school in general, that makes an impact on a student with how smoothly things go from enrolling to finding what you need on the course. So I think that's really good that you highlighted how effective their customer service was and how it made you feel.
Absolutely. And you touched on something that I think is really good too. It was the customer service, even from the onboarding experience. So that same excellence went from my onboarding experience all the way through the entire, through my entire schooling at that particular institute. So I think, they they really went over and above with their whole system setup. Because I think the guy that onboarded me, he was even checking in with me probably up until half the semester to make sure, do you need anything? How's everything going? How are your instructors? So they really had a well-oiled machine. So I like how you pulled on that because it did help to feel nurtured all the way through.
Right. Yes. And so I hope anyone listening out there that might be an administrator in a place of influence in an online program, that you understand how important customer service is to retain your students and make their learning experience meaningful. So now, Christyl, let's think about when you entered college. You talked about that traditional type education that you had and that college was unorganized. How was it for you to start or enroll in a program as a full-fledged adult with a family, as opposed to when you pursued it as when you were like 18 or 19 years old and you were in a traditional learning environment?
Oh, how was it? Like what were the differences?
Yeah, like because you were now an adult with, you have other responsibilities that you didn't have when you were like 18 or 19. So how was that kind of managing all of that, going to school and managing your family and all of that? How was that for you?
Oh man, they were so 2 totally different Christyls. And the reason being because I think I was not clear on my objective when I went into school the first time. And I was kind of all over the place. I went to a historical Black college. And it was on the beach, so it was like, I was thinking of the fun aspect. And on top of that, not being clear of what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to be, I went into pre-med when I first started. So, which is weird, but I went into pre-med when I first started because I was like, I want to be a doctor, and then come to find out, I started getting through those calculus classes. I was like, clearly this is not your calling, but I think, I think on top of that, I wasn't confident within myself and who I was, which caused a lot of confusion as far as me even just picking and sticking to a subject. And so in that, online lecturing has never been my thing. I didn't realize that until I was well into my adulthood, that and maybe because I'm a creative, I just do not thrive in sitting there and listening to someone lecture and then, okay, now your homework is page, blah, blah, blah. It just does not work for me. And I think that deterred me as well. So I did horrible. The first time around. But then the second time around, like you said, I was married. I was a new mother. And I decided to go back to school. I think the first thing that mature woman thought was that I'm not about to be in school with a bunch of little kids. Okay, that's how I probably thought. I am not going to class. Okay. So, right. And I didn't want to sit through lectures, so I was just like, yeah, there's got to be a better way. And I'm going to do something that is going to pique my interest, not something that I think is going to make me money, which there can be a huge difference. Okay. And in the beginning, I was chasing the money. A doctor, of course, you think doctors make money. I mean, I grew up with the Huxtables. If you remember the Huxtables, the Bill Cosby show, right. So I was chasing that life. But then to go back, I'm mature. I know what I want to do. I kind of know myself now that I am a true creative. And I really wanted to finish school. Since I didn't finish the first time, I really wanted to finish school, especially being a new mother. And I wanted to create something not just for myself and my family, but also for my child, for my legacy. So I think I had a completely different mindset, going to school years later, as well as I had a different work ethic, and I saw value in things later on that I would not have seen at 18, 19 years old. So I hope that answers the question.
Oh, yes, it does. Because over the 20 years that, from teaching online, I've noticed that, and this is not to say that young students are not focused by no means, because right. I was a young student and I was very focused, but and not to generalize, but I noticed that students that come to school that are, maybe I should say, have something to lose or something to gain.
Yes, yes.
They have families, they have jobs already, that they are really focused oftentimes on their learning in a different way than the younger student is. And they're just they're not there for the games. They're not there, for the
right.
They really try to take responsibility for themselves and apply themselves. So I'm glad that you pointed that out. All right, Christyl. So let's talk about your needs as an online student. A need is defined as something you require because it is essential or very important. When you click on the online course or courses that you were enrolled in, what did you require or desire from the professor and the course to be successful?
Oh, that's a wonderful question, Dr. Alston. Okay, good. So I have 3, honey. Okay. I have 3. I have 3. Okay, my first one is clear instructions. I do not like vague stuff. Like I don't want to have to piece together what you're telling me to do. So that's number 1, clear instructions. Number 2 is quick response turnarounds from my professor. So if I hit a snag that I just cannot get myself out of, I schedule my time with the tutoring team and I can't get to them. And I need something that's going to help me to get this project in on time and not delay what I have to do for that class. Then please respond back. It should not take more than 24, 48. So it should not take that long for you to get back, especially if my question is not like really, really hard, for you to do. But please get back. Even let me know that you got my message and that, you running behind or whatever the case is. But a quick response is definitely a need. And then also good feedback, whether it's from my professor or whether it's in a group discussion from my peers. I like good feedback because I think it helps us to grow. So those are my online needs. Okay. I need those.
Okay. Well, Christyl, when we talk about clear instructions, I really want to delve into this. What
Yes.
makes the instructions clear for you?
Oh, that's good. Number one, give me the overall what we call in design, and I think they do that in other arenas as well, or other industries as well. Give me the full brief. So give me the description of what this overall assignment is about. And then give me, if there's homework, which usually there is homework attached to it, then break down what you want us to do exactly, even if it's bulleted out in that assignment in order for it to be fully complete and acceptable on your end as the professor. So let me see, can I give an example? So say, for example, I'll use one of the classes that I had with Professor Margaret. She would always give a brief, like she would give the history behind, what we were going to do. So that class was typography, which is the study of fonts, or is the study of type characters, which are letters, for those that may not know. But like, say, for example, she would give the history behind, okay, this week we're going to create artwork based off of type, which are fonts pretty much. And here is the history behind that, why we're doing that, and how you can create art out of that. Then she gives, the bullet. Now, this is what I need you to do. 1, you need to do X, Y, and Z. Bullet 2, you need to make sure it has X, A, B, and C. Bullet 3, it cannot incorporate this, but you can add this. You know what I mean? So I like stuff like that. That's very detailed. And that way I don't have to guess, well, did she want this in there? Or am I doing too much? Am I doing too much work or am I doing too little? But she had it. I mean, she had the nail on the, how do they say, the hammer on the nail?
The nail on the head.
Thank you. Thank you. I cannot get it together. She had the nail on the head, but I mean, it was clear. I never had to question it. And I could just forge ahead in my assignment and usually be done early because I had all the instructions.
Yes, I love how you broke that down.
Yay.
Okay, so Christyl, I have a favorite book, and it's called E-Learning and the Science of Instruction. I know that probably sounds like that's one of your favorite books, but when it comes to instructional design, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And it's authored by Drs. Ruth Clark and Richard Mayer. And they recommend that those who design instruction incorporate graphics that help the learner understand or organize the material. Now, when they're talking about graphics, that includes static illustrations like drawings or charts, graphs, maps, photos, and even animation or video.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you were in design school, I'm curious to know, did you experience the use of both graphics and words to help you understand the content?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think we probably had so many graphics because it was a design school and it was a design course. Mm-hmm. So of course they had to give us a lot of examples, to what they're looking for in our work that we had to turn in. And then also not just examples, but to give us inspiration, and I think pairing the two for me, because I'm a visual learner, pairing the two, I think just really enhanced the message of what they were trying to get us to learn, as well as what they were trying to get us to do. So having graphics, oh, absolutely. I think it's necessary. Even if you're not in design school, I think it's necessary, especially for us visual learners. It really, pinpointed exactly what we needed to gain. And that's through our eye as well as what we were reading. And then you put the two together. It's just explosive with understanding. It's just explosive with understanding. It just makes it so much easier moving forward.
Yeah, I'm so glad you shared that because I was going to be shocked if you said no. We did not have
right.
Because I took online courses for about 3.5 years, And my courses did not include graphics and words.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I think it's important to emphasize how much graphics promote learning. It's just a powerful, strategy to combine words with videos, words with charts, so that people can
Absolutely.
understand. And it doesn't matter what discipline that you're in, that's really important. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So
Yes.
I've often wondered, how many words is a video worth?
A million.
I was going to
A
ask
million.
you what you would say. So you gave me that. That was on cue. Good job. So, Christyl, I know your online education is provided this foundation for launching your business, even if you didn't know that that's what you were going to do when you started
Right.
it. Did your school train you on how to use what you learned to either be a better employee? I keep someone to say employer, don't I? To be an employee or to even build a business? Did they take that graphic design knowledge and say, okay, this is what you can do with this?
Ooh, no. I would say that is the one thing that is completely missing. Now, it might have changed since then because hopefully I know a guy that I look up to on YouTube that I followed for years, and he gives great advice and stuff. I call him my imaginary mentor, right? But
What's his name?
Chris Doe,
Okay.
D-O, like do love him. But I think he might have filled that gap on a significant level since I've been out of school. And I know he helped me. He's one of the reasons why I was able to successfully go into business and have a creative mindset as well as a business mindset. But as far as school, they had nothing. They were like, we're going to give you the skills. And then we had one was it a webinar? Yeah, it was one webinar we had like towards the end when we're getting closer to graduation, where they had this guy come in and he told us what agencies are looking for, what they don't want to see, the do's and don'ts of trying to get a job, meaning working for someone else. But that's all we had. If you wanted to build a business, you had to learn that on your own. Even when you got out into the workforce, even what he gave us in that hour and a half webinar still did not meet the opposition that we came up against as new students with no agency work. When we were trying to present our portfolios to them to get a job fresh out of design school, and we were turned away because we didn't have agency work. So they by no means did they help us to, I would say, be fully prepared outside of our skill. Let me put that outside of our design skill. There was no way that they helped us at that time to be fully prepared for going out into the world after we got our degrees. And then they had a career department where we had career advisors. So right before we were leaving, we were connected with our own advisors, and they would help us look for jobs and this, that, and the other. And they would help us with our resumes and this, that, and the other. But it still was not enough to get those top tier jobs fresh out of school. It still was not enough or not anything at all. If you were talking about entrepreneurship, there was nothing at all to help you to build a successful brand studio, graphic design studio, web design studio. They had nothing about business, nothing. So that's the only gap that I would see there. And that might be why I gave it, maybe subconsciously, that's why I gave it a 9 and not a 10.
Okay. So they would have added some little courses in there about that. You might have given it a 10.
Absolutely, I would have.
Okay, well, let's talk about your pet peeves then. A pet peeve is a minor annoyance that an individual finds particularly irritating. It's something that may bother you more than it bothers others. So your pet peeve may not be someone else's, and Christyl, that's okay. What were your pet peeves when it came to taking online courses?
Ooh, my pet peeves. I would say, and I think I kind of touched on it in my needs, I would say vague or nonchalant responses. I hate that. Okay. Especially, whether it's from a student or a professor. And when I say student, which would be my peers at the time, That's in the discussion board. When they're like, give a full brief on how the person could do better, give their goods, their bads, this, and the other. And people are like, oh, that's great. And that's it? How am I going to improve off of that? I do not like vague and nonchalant responses. I do not like it. This is not, and back then we weren't using emojis as much, as we're in an emoji world nowadays. Right. But that's what it's kind of like to me. I'm asking you feedback so that I can improve and get better. And you're giving me that's great. That tells me nothing. Like that's not going to help me grow. So that's one of my pet peeves. And then the other pet peeve I think I did kind of touch on out of my needs is confusing instructions. When you're not giving me the full brief. You're just saying, at the end of this course, we're going to do this. And today's assignment, I want you to write an essay. And the essay can be on whatever you want it to be about. That tells me nothing. You know what I mean? Don't confuse me. Don't let me have to guess through. And then by the time I turn it in, you tell me it didn't meet the standards, but you gave me nothing. So those two sounds like a vent, right? But those two are my pet peeves.
Yes. Well, listen, I'm a little curious a little bit more. You talked about a discussion board in design school.
Yes.
So what did that entail, your discussion? Because it sounded like you said, so you would post something that you've created and then they wanted you to give feedback to your classmates?
Yes.
Like a peer review type of thing?
Yes.
So how was that overall though during your experience? Did it help you to grow or not?
When I would get good feedback, absolutely it would help me to grow. So with our courses, usually when we're going into another class for the entire course, they're usually, I think they were about 6 weeks long, if I can remember, 6 weeks long. So we're building a project through those whole 6 weeks. So every week we're delivering a part of that project as we're building it through the 6 weeks. And so at the end of the 6 weeks, we're graded and judged on that completed project. So every week we're uploading like that little part that we would do to build the bigger project. And so when we would put it in the discussion board, which is usually some type of design or whatever, we put in the discussion board, and then all of our peers, including our professor, can see it. So underneath there, then they have to, and like I said, a lot of my professors were very clear on what you had to do in the discussion board, and we were graded on our feedback, feedback to our peers. And so in some cases, you would put the image up there and people were like, oh my gosh, it's so good. This is so great. Okay, like I said, I don't like vague. But then sometimes they would be like, this is good. I like how you did this and your use of colors. But this over here, it didn't really make sense to me. Even though as creatives, we can be sensitive about our stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's like, oh, well, I didn't think of that, because you need to see things from other people's perspective and not just your own. So, so I think having that constructive feedback, like, that didn't make sense to me when you put that over there, when you have all this over here, and I didn't really understand it. And I kind of didn't care for it. When somebody tells you that you have to suck it up and then you have to look at it from their angle and be like, oh, that really didn't make sense. And then you take it out. And then so by the end of the project, if you get these good feedbacks in the discussion board from your peers, from your professor, then you come out with something amazing by the end of the 6 weeks, because you were able to take away what didn't make sense. You were able to, boost up what did make sense. And then by the end, you shock yourself when you get good feedback in the discussion board. So I like the discussion board because I had never experienced it, but I liked it on that level. So I hope that answered the question. Did that answer the question?
Oh, definitely. And what you brought up is something that we try to teach educators, in that praise is often, good job, boys and girls, and you're like, but what did I do good? And so when I taught this guiding behavior course, one of the mindset shifts that we had to do was to learn that you should encourage, and encouragement involves specifically stating what the child did well, and so, and what areas they may need to grow in. And instead of just saying, good job, Johnny, or, and just brushing it off, like you said, was just great. Well, what does that mean?
Right.
What was great? Be specific. So I think that's really good that you pointed that out, that you only can grow when you get legitimate feedback, which is
Absolutely.
descriptive. All right, so you've made it to the end, Christyl, to our Dear Professor segment, where you get
Woohoo.
the opportunity to share your heart with a fellow professor that you have in mind. So imagine there's this online bulletin board with sticky notes or messages from students to professors. What is the note you would leave one of your online college professors?
Oh, that's so good. So I would start like this. Dear Professor, I have learned so much in your class. It's clear that you have taken the time to craft lessons that help us as students cultivate a level of excellence that we would take with us throughout our careers. What I love most are our Monday check-in calls you had for us as a class. During this 30-minute to an hour time slot, we were able to ask you questions about assignments or talk about any challenges we may have faced during the prior week's work. Your feedback was absolutely stellar. Although it felt like you were asking too much of us, okay, let me be clear, too much of me, and sometimes it felt like you were saying that our work was not good enough. But now I see that you were stretching us to design at a higher level. This has positioned me personally to be an exquisite designer who pays attention to the details, but also a business owner who consistently exceeds my clients' expectations because of your push. Thank you for changing my mindset about the work and what I could deliver. But more so, a bigger thank you for seeing the greatness in me that I didn't see in myself back then, and for challenging me to tap into my highest creative abilities. You will never be forgotten. Sincerely, your former star student.
Christyl, let me tell you something. I don't know who that professor is, but you need to send that message to that
I
professor.
am.
I'm serious. It was so encouraging and very specific, like you said, you like your instructions to be. It was
Yes.
you modeled exactly what we just discussed that you would like to receive, right? And
Oh,
so
good.
I am just wow. You have got to send that to that professor. Do you hear me, Christyl?
Yes. And it's so funny, Dr. Alston, because let me tell you, when I was writing this, I was kind of tearing up because I know exactly who she is. She's even been a mentor for me outside of school for years.
Oh.
And I'm telling you, when I was writing, I was like, I am sending this to her. I haven't talked to her. It's been some years since I've talked to her, but I was like, I am sending this to her because she really has made an impact in my life as a designer, as a person, and just as a business owner in general. She was amazing. She was absolute, and she challenged me, honey. She challenged me, but she was
Yes.
absolutely amazing.
Let me tell you, it is such a blessing when a student is able to articulate how you have impacted their lives, influenced their lives, inspired them. And I don't think, sometimes we hear the bad news from students, but we don't
Yes.
hear as much as we should from those who are blessed by our gifts and by our presence. So I'm telling you
Yeah.
today, make that a point before 2023 leaves us that you give that message to her.
I
Okay.
will send it today. Yes, I still got her email, honey. I will send it today.
Right. Right. Okay. So as we close, let me share my takeaways from today's conversations. Christyl, when you are taking courses online, you need clear instructions, which include the reason or background info as to why you're learning what you're learning, and also includes bullet points with detailed instructions, right, that provide you the opportunity to be successful in whatever you're endeavoring to complete. And then
Yes.
number two, you need a quick response or turnaround so that you can move forward and complete the task. Yeah,
Yes.
I just realized, let me see. I need to say, let me see your third. Oh, your third one.
Yeah, yeah, because I did have 3, didn't
I
I?
just thought that was about right. The third one was good feedback. Yes, I remember that. You need good
Yes.
feedback. And we kind of covered that in detail about how you need that to be thorough and specific. So was that
Yes.
accurate in terms of sharing what you need as an online student?
Very accurate. You nailed it.
Oh, good. Well, Christyl, this conversation has been so enlightening. I love the fact
Yay.
that you brought a different flavor to the Dear Professor series because you experience online courses to expand your knowledge in preparation for Zeely Creative.
Yes.
And so that was kind of, I
Yes.
mean, everybody that goes to school has a reason, but the fact that it just directly correlated with you building a business is just really special. And with that in
Absolutely.
mind, let's tell everyone where to find your products and services.
Yes. You can, look, I'm so excited about this. Okay, but you can check out Zeely Creative. That's Z as in zebra, EELY creative.com. And on the resources page, there's some free things over there. You can also see where my book is over there. And yeah, anything that you need to know about your business or branding, is even a blog over there. Feel free to dive in. And I hope you find everything that you're looking for. Again, that's zeelycreative.com, ZEELYCREATIVE.com.
Yes. So you heard it here, zeelycreative.com. Now, is there anything special that you're promoting during the last few days of 2023?
I am. And actually, this melts, I guess, or melds my businesses together. I am offering affirmation cards for the holidays. I do them every year. You can get them really any time of the year, but definitely this time of the year, a lot of people are really going through hard times mentally, through family loss or just hard times in general with what's going on with our economy. So I think it's really important that we put in place affirmations. So that is the highlighted product that I want you to check out. You can check out those affirmation cards and get your own copy, or not copy, get your own cards at affirmingpower.com. That's affirmingpower.com. AFFIRMINGPOWER.com. And you can order your affirmation cards today.
Well, that is fantastic. Now, we just want to thank you all for joining us. Remember to comment, like, share, follow, and subscribe. I look forward to spending time with you next week on the Dear Professor series, where college students who take courses online speak their minds. Bye-bye.